Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to our May Town Hall. I'm personally very excited to have Hannah Tuten with us today. She's the Public Affairs Manager at Waymo, the driverless car. Some said we have been seeing it around, and probably with our vision, most of us haven't, but we have heard that from our friends or colleagues. Um, Hannah, can you explain to us Waymo, the history, and the future?
Yes, of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Hannah Tuten. Like Tara said, I'm a public affairs manager here at Waymo, based in Washington, D.C., managing our community engagement efforts across the East Coast. And for those of you who may be unfamiliar, maybe somewhat familiar, I'll talk through both the company, our history, our technology, the availability of our ride hailing service today, as well as our plans for DC specifically. I'll probably talk for about 15 minutes, but I'm going to leave plenty of time for questions at the end since I'm sure you have a few. But let me start by going back to 2009, which is when Waymo began as the Google self driving car project. So we became Waymo in 2016, and then in 2020, we launched the world's first fully autonomous ride hailing service in Phoenix, Arizona. I think many people on the East Coast may think that this technology is new, but we have been hard at work for over 17 years, and we've driven more than 200 million miles on public roadways. We've served over 20 million paid rider trips, and we are currently providing over 500,000 rides per week across 11 active cities. Those include Phoenix, the San Francisco Bay Area, Los Angeles, Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, Miami and Orlando, Nashville, Austin, and Atlanta, with many more to come. I will note that two of those cities, Austin and Atlanta, are under an Uber partnership, meaning you can opt in to being matched with a fully autonomous Waymo vehicle directly via the Uber app. In all other cities, we are available through the Waymo app, and that will be what the situation is here in DC as well. It will be directly through the Waymo app. So, across all of those US cities and even globally, we recently announced London and Tokyo as our first international markets. We are working to bring our proven safety, mobility, and accessibility benefits to more people. Across the 200 million miles I mentioned earlier, Waymo has been involved in 92% fewer serious injury causing collisions compared to human drivers in the cities where we operate today. That breaks down to 13 times safer than the status quo. We're also notably involved in 92% fewer injury causing collisions with pedestrians, which we know makes up a sizable percentage of the injuries and fatalities on American roadways every year. Much of that safety performance can be attributed to what we call the Waymo driver, which is our sensor suite. We are currently operating with the fifth generation Waymo driver, making up our fleet today, which uses a combination of cameras, radar, which is radio detection and ranging, and LiDAR, which is light detection and ranging. And all three of those work together simultaneously to build a complete view of the vehicle's surroundings, whether that's daytime, nighttime, rain or shine, up to 300 meters in every direction. And to describe the vehicle for those of you who may not have ever experienced one up close, our current base model is the Jaguar I-Pace, which is an all-white, four-door electric SUV. And we have sensor hubs located around the vehicle that make the silhouette pretty distinctive. So each hub contains all three sensor types: cameras, LiDAR, and radar. There is one hub above each wheel, one on the front of the vehicle, and one on the trunk. And the largest is actually a dome shaped hub on the top of the vehicle itself, which I'll call out, that is situated higher than any driver's eye line would be. And again, helps our technology better process the world around it and make sure we're sharing the road safely. We're also working on our sixth generation Waymo driver, which builds on our current strength and offers greater performance specifically for winter weather conditions. So we've been testing this over the past winter through Michigan and upstate New York, the same way that we previously tested our cars by sending them to South Florida for hurricane season and out to Death Valley for heat testing. I'd also like to briefly clarify what I mean when I say fully autonomous. Um, the Society of Automotive Engineers developed a scale ranging from 1 to 5, where Waymo is operating at a level 4. I'd say the most notable difference, or the easiest way to think of this, is starting at level 4, you do not need a driver's license to be alone in the vehicle, and you are not liable to take over control of the vehicle at any point in your journey. Comparing that to cars you can buy off the lot today, those all come in at or below a level 3. Even if there are significant advanced driver assist features, even if there is self driving language used, it does still require someone with a valid driver's license to be in the driver's seat, and you may be liable to take control at a moment's notice. So when you ride with Waymo, you aren't even allowed to sit in the driver's seat, actually. It's a truly autonomous journey from pickup to drop off. And in addition to safety, accessibility has really been fundamental to Waymo's mission since day one. And our mission is to be the world's most trusted driver. As many people on this call, I'm sure, know all too well, current transportation systems weren't designed with everyone's needs in mind. There are daily barriers for people with disabilities and diverse mobility needs, and especially for individuals who are blind or have low vision, not having or often losing the ability to drive can be a significant obstacle to independence. We know that reliable transportation is essential not only for maintaining your quality of life and staying connected to the community, but also for accessing healthcare and employment opportunities and everyday necessities. So, we believe that autonomous vehicles have the power to transform this reality, creating inclusive transportation options that work for a wider range of people, regardless of your age, ability, or how you choose to move through the world. We've heard many anecdotes about the additional challenges that come from traveling with a cane or a guide dog, and how frequently people are illegally denied service or face discrimination in existing modes of transportation. I'll call out that the Waymo driver, which is again our sensor suite, doesn't discriminate. It never drives distracted, drowsy, or impaired. And we've really invested in working alongside key mobility advocacy organizations to understand these transportation challenges across each city we serve, knowing they can be unique, and to create solutions that benefit the entire community. So we are designing Waymo both from the app to the ride itself with the recognition that transportation needs are diverse, often interconnected. And while some of our features may have been designed to improve access for riders with disabilities, those same design choices are really enhancing everyone's ride experience. So we have a coalition of some of our national disability advocacy partners. You may be familiar with the National Federation of the Blind or the American Council of the Blind. Both of those groups are involved in what we call the Waymo Accessibility Network. And through conversations and user research studies with them, we have done a few things to make sure that, again, our app and our car experience are more accessible. So we've ensured our app is fully compatible with screen readers. We've implemented high contrast screens in the app and in the vehicle itself. We've added adaptive app navigation, which includes visual, audio, and haptic cues, as well as turn by turn walking directions to help you find your vehicle at pickup. For someone who is sighted, you can customize the initials on the top dome of the vehicle so you know it's your vehicle when it pulls up. But for people who wouldn't benefit from that visual indicator, we've developed a purpose built car melody as well as an on demand honk horn button that can help you audibly locate your car at pickup. We've also incorporated descriptive audio cues throughout the ride experience, including ones that help riders start their trip and describe key events along the journey, whether that's announcing what road you're turning onto or sharing that, the car is waiting for the intersection to clear. We also recently introduced new account preferences that include customizable legroom options to better serve riders with service animals or mobility equipment and make it easier to enter and exit the vehicle. That basically means that if you want more legroom in the back of the passenger seat, you can set that up in the app one time, and then every car will auto adjust before it picks you up. We have even more features in development now as we continue to collect rider feedback across our growing number of cities. And I'll share that one upcoming example is that in our next vehicle model, which we're calling the OHI and is more of a van style model, we're working with the vehicle manufacturer to incorporate Braille into the vehicle itself before we ever open the doors to public passengers. So, through the Waymo Accessibility Network and a lot of those conversations over the years, we have learned a lot to inform our product and service, but recognize there is still a lot of work to be done. The disability community's needs are obviously diverse, and there cannot be a one size fits all approach to accessibility. So, we're continuing to learn and grow from all stakeholders in this space and from all of the new cities we're entering over the months and years to come. That brings me to DC specifically. So we are doing everything that we can to get ready to serve you all and be able to offer you an actual completely autonomous ride here in the city. We've had cars testing in DC proper for over a year now. They're collecting data on everything from the speed limits and crosswalks to pedestrian behavior. And at a high level, in every city we enter, we move through three phases of testing. So, first, we come and we map and collect data by driving in manual mode, meaning there's a human fully in control of the vehicle while all the sensors are collecting data. We have passed that step in DC, and where we are currently is in the second stage, which is autonomous testing. So there is still a human in that driver's seat, but the vehicle is driving itself. And that is kind of the full extent of testing that DC law currently allows. Our third stage is where legislation allows we move on to fully autonomous testing with no one in the vehicle. And after that, we are typically ready to start offering a commercial service once we have all the necessary approvals. I will say this timing is great. Just last month, Councilmember Charles Allen introduced the Autonomous Vehicle Deployment Authorization Amendment Act of 2026, alongside Council members Pinto and Fruman. So it has been referred to the Committee on Transportation and the Environment. And while a hearing has yet to be scheduled, we are hopeful one will be soon. But the goal of this bill would give us the framework to move forward with what we call rider only testing, and it would chart a path forward for a full commercial service in the district. I will call out, since people here are joining from all over, that we do want to serve the entire DC DMV region, but that will require additional legislation to be passed in both Maryland and Virginia before we can cross state lines. But at the state level, our policy team is working to get new legislation introduced in all states, which is actually 24 states that don't currently allow for commercial deployment of a fully autonomous ride hailing service. So, as we move forward, especially in the DMV area, I will keep all of you closely updated on our progress and would honestly welcome your support, both the Prevention of Blindness Society as an organization and you all as individuals. If when the time comes, you feel comfortable reaching out to your local representatives to just share you're interested in AVs, whether that's by calling, writing emails, or letters, however you want to get involved. Your advocacy really makes a significant impact, and I'm excited to one day be able to host a lot of you for your first ride and then have you start using this in your day-to-day lives. I think with that, that's a high-level overview of where Waymo is at. But Tara, let me know if there's something I skipped or if we should open up for questions and discussion.
Thank you, Hannah. This was great. Could you walk us through the process if someone who is visually impaired, what to do? I tried the Waymo in Scottsdale, Arizona,
Oh, great.
and my colleague who's fully sighted was with me, so he was ordering from the app and all that. It's an amazing experience. But could you tell us how it works, what to do starting from A to Z if we
Of
are
course.
visually impaired?
Yes, of course. So we would start by downloading the Waymo app. And again, that's available in the App Store or in Google Play. The only exception is if you are in Austin or Atlanta. In those cities, it is via Uber. But in a Waymo market, download the Waymo app. You do have to go through account creation where you add in your name and billing information, that kind of standard process. But once you have an account set up and you are within a Waymo territory in one of those cities I listed, you would, much like Uber or Lyft, type in where you want to go. You can type in both a street address, a numerical address, or you can type in the name of a place. Similar to Google Maps, it recognizes both. And then where you want to be picked up. And I'll say when you are choosing a pickup point and a drop off point, Waymo will offer typically 3 to 5 suggested locations, whether that's, opposite sides of the street, maybe 1 block away. It will give you a choice. So you can choose amongst those, and it gives you a little better control over where the car will pull up for you. I'll also call out in your settings. So if you go to account accessibility, there is a setting you can turn on called minimized walking time, and that tells the car to basically make the trade off. It may take 1 or 2 extra minutes to come pick you up, but it's going to pull up as close as it can to you. Versus, I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with how a driver may pull up on the other side of the street, meaning you have to cross the street and find your vehicle. With the minimized walking time setting, it will come as close to you as it can. So I recommend everyone turn that on. When the car I guess backing up further, I'll go in more detail. When you type in where you want to go and where you want to be picked up, and the car is on its way, like any other app, it will tell you the estimated time of arrival, and it will kind of give you a warning as it gets closer. Depending on the traffic of the street you're being picked up on, the amount of time it will wait can vary. So if it's very busy, it will tell you all of this in advance. But if it's a very busy street, it may only wait, 5 minutes. Whereas if it's a quieter residential street, it can wait longer. Um, when you are going to find your vehicle, we have a handful of options to help you do so. You can get turn by turn walking directions. Those can be announced audibly. You can also get haptic feedback where your phone will vibrate as you get closer. Um, you can also honk the horn or play a melody on command. That is just through a button. You can do that as many times as you want or need to until you find your vehicle. Um, and it will also only unlock from your phone. So it has to manually be unlocked when you are ready. No one else can get into your car before you're ready. And then once you load in, a button will appear to start your ride, and the car does all of the driving. But there are, of course, some customizable features within the app as well. So, again, changing your leg room, playing your music, adjusting the temperature, all of those can be done to your personal preference. Um, let me think. There was something else I was going to say about the process itself. There is rider support available 24/7. So if you have questions during your ride, if you need help finding your vehicle, if anything comes up that's out of the ordinary, you can contact them immediately. And that is, again, a live human support agent who can answer questions. They can check on you through the in car cameras and microphones. And I will say that sometimes they do that proactively. If you take off your seatbelt in the middle of your ride, our rider support team is going to get alerted and they will be calling you to say, hey, please buckle up. Is everything okay? So they can be accessed anytime. Yeah, any questions? I actually, one second, I feel like something popped in the chat. Um, Someone asked in the chat, what did you say about having to have a driver's license? With Waymo, you do not need to have a driver's license. You are never liable as a passenger. The vehicle is the quote unquote driver at all times. Tara, anything to call out about your Phoenix experience?
Yes, I mean, one of the things I wasn't sure how to locate the car. So now you're saying now there's the melodies, which is great because I don't think this was available, or maybe my colleague didn't turn it on because he was able to see the car. So this wasn't an
Yeah.
issue.
Your colleague may not have used it. I will say they all populate depending on how far away the car is. So if the car is, a few yards away, they'll encourage you to use the honk horn or melody versus if the car is down the block, it'll offer you walking directions. So it's a little bit sensitive to how close the vehicle is. But all of those are automatic and all of those are accessible via screen reader. One thing, other than minimized walking time, one thing you would have to turn on in your settings is descriptive audio. So we have a default standard that everyone receives, which is, automated reminders to you're approaching your destination. Don't forget your wallet, phone, and keys. Or, starting ride, welcome, it says your name at the beginning. But if you want descriptive audio to announce the streets you're turning on to and what the vehicle is doing, you do have to go into your account settings under accessibility, and you can turn that up to descriptive versus standard. And for people who don't want the car to talk to them at all, we also have a reduced option where you can turn it off.
And there was this like a screen inside the car.
Yes.
Is that accessible as well, or you can see or know what's on that screen in the app if you cannot see the screen?
Yeah, so we do. We have a touch screen in both the front seat and the
Mhm.
back seat of the vehicle. Everything there is the same as what's in the app. So it has those same controls to play your music, change the temperature, adjust the fan, adjust your leg room. All of those are on the touch screen. But for someone who could not visually use a touch screen, or even if you can't reach the touch screen, all of those are accessible in the app instead.
Great.
Yeah.
So anybody has a question or a comment? I think there is one on the in the chat.
Yes, there are two. Oh,
Mhm.
they're popping up.
Yeah.
One is, can you share some talking points when we meet with our representatives to get Waymo in Virginia? I would encourage you to share about your personal experience, honestly, whether that is ride denials or long wait times or discrimination with guide dogs, and speak to how autonomous vehicles, Waymo included, but what not Waymo exclusively, could help alleviate a lot of those transportation pain points. If you want specific data from Waymo, whether that's on our safety performance or on the accessibility features I talk through, I'm happy to send an email with some bullet points after this call. Someone also asked, how will Waymo compare to current Lyft and Uber service in DC, especially in terms of wait time and pricing? Great question. Someone always asks about pricing. I'll say for the wait time, that is actually how we account for the number of vehicles to bring to a current market. So sometimes people will ask me how many cars are in a specific city, and there's not one number we work toward. We're constantly evaluating wait times, and we don't want anyone to, you know, choose not to use Waymo because you have to wait too long or you have to pay too much. So trying to keep it competitive. I'll say personally, in the other cities where I've called a car, I don't think I ever have to wait more than 10 minutes. So trying to keep it realistic. I know DC over the past 6 months, honestly, I feel like wait times have gotten significantly worse. So we'll evaluate that as we open up our doors to the public here. And in terms of pricing, I would say at the beginning, it's very comparable. Our pricing system is dynamic. It's based on distance traveled and demand at the time. There's not traditional surge pricing. I know some other apps will, at rush hour, spike the prices anyway. Um, our prices will rise if demand is rising, but not for other reasons. Um, and then over time, of course, the goal is to get much more efficient and have those prices decrease. Our investment upfront in the vehicle and in the technology itself is high, but as we bring more cars to market, hoping to keep everything more efficient and have prices come down. And I'll say, without a driver, there's no one to tip. So if you regularly tip, that is at least a few dollars off with us.
Any questions or comments for Hannah? Anything more you would like
There's
to know about? Yeah.
another one in the chat asked if
Okay.
Waymo is coming only to DC proper and not Northern Virginia or the Maryland suburbs. So right now we are testing autonomously in all of DC proper, as well as in Baltimore. That said, we would need Maryland and Virginia to pass their own legislation before we could cross borders out of the district. So hopefully the whole region is coming with time, but it may be the case where we launch in just DC proper first.
And Hannah, with the testing for 1 year, what were the major challenges you witnessed in DC that you didn't find in other cities?
Yeah, it's funny. And as we get more miles, I think those unique features are declining. We've driven in so many other cities, so many other millions of miles. I'm trying to think. Obviously, DC stoplights are placed a little differently than other cities. Instead of hanging over the middle of the street, they are off to the side. Um, we have motorcades here, which are unique compared to other cities. We have a lot of roundabouts, which isn't always common. Um, say those are kind of the three things that come to mind. But again, we've been testing for a full year now, so we've encountered all of those and many more quote unquote unexpected behaviors. So I think we're ready to serve the city. We also LA is one of our cities. San Francisco is one of our active cities where there's also a lot of pedestrian traffic, a lot of congestion. So I think we've taken away a lot of learnings from our active cities as well.
Cynthia, you're unmuted. Do you have a question?
How do we contact Waymo to sign up?
You could, so right now, because we do not yet have approval to operate fully autonomously, we are not taking riders yet. I'll let you know when that's the case. In the meantime, you can still download the app and you can sign up for our newsletter at waymo.com/updates. I would say those are the two best ways to stay informed. If you have the app downloaded, you can use it in another city and you will also get notified when service is available here. We do typically have a period of time, whether it's a few weeks or a few months, between when we can take riders and when we fully open our doors in our app publicly. So during that kind of test period, I'll make sure to include this group. And whether we do some loops around the block or around Union Station, I want to be there to help everyone walk you through the app and how to use it and how to ride your first time.
There's
Thank you.
another question.
I think there's one more in the chat, which is asking if Waymo vehicles have special pricing for seniors or people with disabilities. For example, will Waymo be part of the Metro Access, which provides reduced pricing on cabs and Uber? This is something we are starting to explore on a city to city level. I don't have an answer yet for DC or what kind of partnerships we'll have in place, but I will say it's of interest to our team. We definitely want to make sure that our service is affordable and accessible to the people who would benefit from it the most.
Sandy?
Good morning, Hannah. Great presentation. I'm so excited, like Tara. If I put Waymo, you said if I put the app on, I can test it out in another city. But
Yes.
in a given city, how far out is Waymo willing to go? And this could apply to, you know, please, 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 the legislators, let us have Waymo in the greater metropolitan DC area. How far out in Virginia might you go? Do you have like a population density that you don't go past out into the countryside, or how do you define how far you go?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And it kind of differs city to city. We typically start in the most downtown urban core and then over time expand further outward. We aren't yet really serving any rural areas. Um, Phoenix was our first city, and so they are our largest city. There are hundreds of square miles covered. So it's not only Phoenix, it's Scottsdale and Glendale and a lot of the surrounding counties and suburbs. Um, or thinking of San Francisco, for example, we serve all of the Bay Area going south, covering San Jose. So again, probably over 100 square miles. Or LA, we go from downtown LA out to Venice Beach and Santa Monica.
I got disconnected.
So it gets broader with time. If there's a specific city you're visiting, I'm more than happy to share the map or describe to you our boundaries. But it's always evolving. We are growing each city territory over time.
I think I need to take a road trip and go to a city you serve. Okay, thank you.
Of course, of course. Let me know if you do. I think we're testing autonomously in Philadelphia too, which may be closer to launch. I'll keep you posted on any East Coast dates because right now the closest city to DC is probably Nashville or Atlanta, which I know is not very close.
But an excuse to go there, maybe. Okay,
Oh,
thank
yeah. No,
you.
if you plan a trip, let me know. I'll give you a ride code or something like that.
Okay.
Okay, Jillian and then Edlin.
Hi, Hannah. This was a great presentation, and I cannot wait to get into a driverless car. So I am happily volunteering myself for whenever you unroll or launch the DC program.
Great.
And just more of a reason I was hopefully planning a trip out to San Francisco later this year. So now I'm even more
Oh,
maybe
good.
Sandy and I will be taking a trip out there together.
Please do. Let me know when you plan it. And yeah, I'll walk you through how to ride there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jillian. Lynn?
Well, my question is one I'm not even sure if you can answer yet, but given the way you described the legislation, would it be possible to get into a Waymo in DC and take it into Virginia for my drop off?
Not yet, but
Not
that
yet.
is certainly the hope. It would require both DC and Virginia to pass legislation. So I don't have a timeline to share on what that looks like. It's in DC, it's with city council. In Virginia, it's at the state level. But no, that's something I know so many people live in Arlington, for example, and just commute into the city. So definitely something we are prioritizing.
Okay, so right now it's really just in DC that I'd be able to take it when it's up and running.
Yes. So again, it could change between now and when we launch. I'll keep you posted because right now, no member of the public can ride.
Mhm.
But my suspicion is that DC may pass legislation before Virginia.
Thank you.
Of course.
Karen and then Kelly.
Mm. Um, I'd like to ask about the car driving in different kinds of weather, because I noticed that you started with Phoenix, and we saw them when we were, well, when we were in LA last spring. And, that's really those climates, they don't have a lot of rain and they certainly don't have all the ice, et cetera, that we have. So how are the cars trained for weather conditions?
Yeah, of course. And I think you're right. LA and Phoenix are two of our nicest weather markets. I will say though, for
Mhm.
Phoenix, with 120-degree days,
I
we
mean,
did some heat testing out there.
mhm,
We have whether it's, Miami gets a lot of summer storms or San Francisco is a very foggy city. We do
mhm,
extensive weather testing. And I think that's when LiDAR and radar are most important. You think of someone wearing dark clothing at nighttime, and a camera may not pick them up. A camera's not able to see through fog or heavy rain. But that's when we rely more on LiDAR and radar to make sure our car is processing everything around it. And we, this past winter, got a lot of great winter weather snow testing under our belt, both in DC and further north in New York and Michigan.
mhm.
Um, so, no, we are working across kind of all weather conditions.
Thank you.
Of course.
Kelly? Kelly, you're unmuted. Do you have a question? Okay. I guess not. There's a raised hand. Miro?
Yeah, just have something in mind. I don't know if it's already answered or no. Um, is there any plans of Waymo to be like the full self-driving on Tesla, something to be owned or something to be on any customized vehicle, or no, it's only for like a taxi service in the near future?
Yeah, in the near future, just a ride-hailing service. We last year announced a partnership with Toyota, who is interested in exploring personal ownership with us. I will say for personal ownership, there are a few factors in play. One is, of course, cost and how we can bring that down. But second is, like we've talked about, legislation. If you could only have it fully autonomous in DC and then you cross into Virginia and have to be in control, that's a lot more complicated for a personally owned vehicle. So I think depending on if and when a federal framework for autonomous vehicles is introduced, that might get us closer to that conversation. But for right now, Waymo is focused on ride hailing.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions for Hannah?
This is Sandy again. So in the Subaru that my husband and I have, the various detection things that happen, we frequently get a notice when it's like snowy or rainy or foggy. So are other cars not using the LiDAR and radar, just using cameras?
I don't know for Subaru specifically, but using Tesla as an example, yes, they're camera only. And I'll say even furthermore, the Jaguar I-Pace, which is what's testing in DC right now for Waymo, has 29 cameras on it. And Tesla's coming in much fewer without any LiDAR or radar. So the complexity of the systems is different. Um, but I don't know to your specific vehicle if there's any integration with LiDAR.
Yeah, and I listened to something somewhere sometime that I thought some vehicle used sound detection, sound waves for bouncing off of things. Does Waymo use sound as well
Yeah.
as a
So we
fourth?
have radar is radio waves, but we also do have microphones both inside and outside of the car. So when you think about our vehicles yielding to sirens, for example, we're processing sound and our vehicle knows to slow down and get over if an ambulance or a fire truck is passing by.
Okay, excellent. Four frames of detection, four ways to
Yes.
detect the outside world. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Gary, did you have a question? I think you were unmuted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I was just wondering if a police car wants to pull over the driverless car for some infraction, is the driverless car able to recognize the lights of a police car and the car buys wireless and the car has to pull over? And how would the police car give the car a ticket if there's no driver?
Yeah, great question. Yes, our cars detect sirens and lights, so yielding to police and distinguishing between if we need to yield and they're passing by or if we are being pulled over. It does both. In terms of ticketing, yes, that can be done. It goes to Waymo as the company. And if they need to communicate with the passenger or with our team, we train all first responders locally. So before we ever start taking passengers, our first responder safety team is out there talking to police departments, fire departments, EMS. So they know how to engage with our vehicles, they know how to contact our rider support team, and they know how to deal with a vehicle that may have a passenger and no driver, or a completely empty vehicle with no one in it. Um, so all of that is possible. I will say, in the case of an emergency, if there were a collision or something like that, our rider support team is notified immediately. So they are also checking in on the rider. They can call EMS on your behalf. So all of that is very integrated into our system.
Hannah, how many passengers can sit in a Waymo car? Like, would someone sitting in the driver's seat considered a passenger, or the seat has to be empty?
The driver's seat has to be empty. And when you're calling a ride, that door never unlocks. So you aren't able to access that driver's seat. I would say four at a maximum because you can sit in the front passenger seat. If you're willing to get cozy, you can put three in the back in the bench row. But I'd say, a group of three is probably a little more comfortable.
Okay.
And I think that could also change over time. Again, Waymo's the technology company. So while we're working right now with the Jaguar I-Pace, it's kind of SUV shaped. We could, in theory, apply our technology to a range of vehicle platforms. So there may be a day when there are vans or smaller vehicles on the roads as well. So in the coming years, I think we'll have a variety of different vehicles available.
And does it use Google Maps or Apple Maps or both?
It's kind of its own system. So it is embedded in the vehicle, and that again, when we do our testing and do our mapping, we're picking up a lot more information than what's available in Google Maps.
Okay. Any comments, questions for Hannah?
There's one more in the chat about luggage. So you can open and close the trunk directly through the app as well. If you load something in at pickup, it also gives you an audio reminder before drop off to remember to collect your things from the trunk, and it will open automatically at the end. It's a pretty, I'd say, standard size trunk. It can fit probably, I'd say, 3 or 4 suitcases or, a large haul of groceries. But yeah, the trunk space is available to you. The only downfall is, of course, it's completely driverless, so no one is there to load your luggage for you. You have to do that yourself.
Sandy, did you have a question? I think you unmuted and then.
It was exactly the same one, the luggage space. But
Okay.
I'll go one further. So, God forbid you drive over a nail, you get a flat tire. Does Waymo, the driverless smart car, say, well, I got to stop and call AAA all by itself?
I don't know if it calls AAA, but we do have roadside assistance. So if anything happens to the vehicle where the ride could not continue, we could not get you to your destination. I think a lot of times the process would be we drop you off and then the car goes back to our depot. That's what it needs to do. If it needs to be charged or if you leave luggage in it or something like that, it goes home. But if the ride cannot continue, that's another case where rider support is going to be talking to you through the in-car speakers. They're going to let you know what's going on. They are able to call another ride for you or call assistance as needed.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions for Hannah, thank you very much, Hannah, for taking us to the future. And hopefully it's the near future
Yes.
for all of us.
Definitely. Thank you. And Tara has my email. Feel free to share that if people have questions afterward. And I will keep this group posted if we do get a hearing scheduled this summer. I'll keep you posted on our progress and hopefully can take you for a ride soon.
That would be great. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you, Hannah, again.
Thank
for
you.
joining
Nice
us.
to meet you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.